How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. We are ready to jump into another route, or at least make our way over to it. I don't actually think there's going to be really any delusions to come across, but in the case that there are, just letting you guys know that if a delusion does come up that we have not gotten on my way over to the new content, the new route, then I will definitely include that. But all the neutral stuff, I will probably just continue to skip on through. I don't think we're going to get anything too interesting. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to find out. But next up, if you guys did not know, according to the recommended, I guess, order that we go in here from the Committee of Zero Guide. I don't even know if this is actually an order, but it's the order they have it. Next up is Ayase, which I have to admit is probably the one I'm not really looking forward to out of all of the character routes. Hers is probably at the bottom, like dead last. So we'll just have to, you know, well, I will have to grit my teeth and just deal with it. I think if we actually just shortcut our way into chapter 1, yeah, beginning of the chapter, that gets us ahead of all the Nope, never mind. It's basically the literal start of the game. That's okay. I thought that we'd be able to skip this, but I was wrong. And that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Yeah, we have to go through this because there was well, these, but there's a choice that we made in chapter 1 for the previous route, so we can't exactly use that. It is what it is. Also, I noticed the Seraton figure here changes after a while. I think that's because we go and get the new one. We went and got the new one, right? That happens at some point, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I realized it the last time that we were going through the different chapters to get through to the delusions that we needed, and it did change from like a white outfit to a darker blue. I don't know. That's just something that stood out. But here I'm going to go negative because I think there's choices in both directions, both neutral and positive. So I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to run through the game. We are looking for a delusion in chapter 2 that starts with looked at me, and we need to go negative on it. We need to do negative. Okay, I had a feeling that it was this delusion when we first come across Ayase over at that concert that she had. And we've done the negative delusion before, but did I just not notice the choices? Maybe there were no choices? I don't know. I can't remember anything. So we have to answer these in yes, no, yes, yes, yes. So Fess must be asking me for salvation. We say yes. I want to give in to Fess's seduction. No. And the rest are yes. I'm sure jumping off would feel amazing. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I don't care if I die as long as it's together with Fess. And finally, I want to be set free from everything. Don't we all, you know? And there we go. We got the achievement. We are locked in and ready to go. Now it's just getting through the game again. Oh, hey. This is new. As morning progressed, Kishimoto Ayase stood before the school gate, watching the sky absent-mindedly. Students passed by on either side, and she paid no attention to the strange looks that she received from them. Her gaze was full of emptiness. From her perspective, school was utterly pointless. Her reasoning being she knew the world would end very soon. Even as a third year, she felt out of place wearing a school uniform. This was no time to be attending school, so she believed. Still, she occasionally went in order to continue her search for the gate and the other Black Knights. Sume Academy was the place where the Black Knights would gather, or rather, it was the place where they would be gathered. That was the conclusion she had reached. From a young age, Ayase had been seen as a problem child. She never finished middle school, thus preventing her from enrolling in high school. In spite of this, she transferred into Sume Academy during May of her first year, a day she remembered vividly even now. She had stood before the gate on that day as she was now. Until then, she had been institutionalized by Arkhart Medical. During that time, she endured a hellish trial in order to become a Black Knight. 1 month of psychiatric treatment later, she was finally discharged. The hospital's director, a man whose name she had long since forgotten, spoke to her at that time. Starting tomorrow, you'll be attending high school in Shibuya at Sume Academy. I've done all the work needed to enroll you already. She was not told why. Those words still in her mind the day she had arrived before the school gate, she murmured something to herself.
天空、赤く染まるとき、邪神王の帯同と呼応し、7つの黒き邪神は生まれ、やがて聖域へと召喚される。そして宣言するのだ。悪夢よ、最悪よ、暗黒なる肉塊たちよ。邪神により邪神をほふられ、邪神王が支配する世界は砕け散ると。
They were verses of the legend from the gradual book of Psalms and Revelation, a prophecy Ayase had taken to heart. One she uttered only because she knew now for certain this was the gathering place of the Black Knights. Thus she would continue waiting, thus she would continue searching. And as time passed, she had never felt a single trace of wickedness until now. At last, she could sense a presence, the presence of a potential Black Knight. It had certainly kept her waiting, but the change was wholly a welcome one.
もう時間はないわ。グラジオールの復活はすぐそこ。
Her words, a faint, quiet murmur, another Black Knight. With this thought, Ayase passed through the gate seeking the boy she had met at the concert venue. Okay. Neat little lead up to, well, I guess their actual, like, face-to-face meeting here at school, which is this right here. With a delusion, I think we've seen actually everything here. But I didn't mention this. We have to get all the way through Chapter 7 again. So Chapter 8 is the altered chapter where this route takes place. So I got a lot of trekking to do here. Okay, we're in Chapter 7, and we didn't really focus on positive delusions here whenever we were doing the positive delusion run. So maybe we'll have some delusions that I haven't grabbed. And who knows, there actually might be some delusions from earlier chapters that I didn't grab. But nope, we did not get this one. We did not get this delusion. Hazuki-san's eyes widened and she moved in to study my face closely.
まさか西條さんが目覚めるなんて。
This is the beginning of Chapter 7, by the way. She made it sound as if she hadn't expected me to wake up. Was she disappointed? Was she trying to say that the world, would be better off if a piece of garbage like me just stayed asleep for the rest of my life? When she said that to me, I really did start to wish that I'd never woken up. But then Hazuki-san gave me an explanation that was far different than what I'd imagined.
あなたはこの1ヶ月近くずっと昏睡状態だったんですよ。原因不明のまま眠り続けていたんです。
What the hell? A month? When had I...
今日って。
落ち着いて聞いてくださいね。今日は10月28日です。
October 28th? That checked out, at least with what I'd remembered. God damn it. Which meant that it had been a whole month since I'd witnessed the crucifixion. I was at a loss for words.
あ、そうだ。先生に伝えないといけませんよね。こんなにのんびり検温してる場合じゃなかったわ。ここで待っていてくださいね。すぐに先生を呼んできますから。
After she finished rambling at me, Hazuki-san bolted out of the hospital room in a panic.
僕が1ヶ月昏睡状態だった。
I stared down at my palms, mumbling that to myself in a daze. That meant that everything that had happened in the past month had all been a dream. I couldn't believe I got slammed with the "it was all a dream" plot twist. But strangely enough, it didn't bother me. In fact, when she told me that it was a dream, it had made everything surprisingly easy to understand. There was no such thing as D-swords or turning delusions into reality or whatever else. All of it fell apart the second I actually thought about it. It had all been an illusion, a simple delusion that I had created. I was pretty sad that meeting Rimi had just been a dream too, but I wasn't being hunted by Shogun. I wasn't Japan's favorite punchline, and Nanami hadn't been kidnapped either. Oh, thank God. My vision blurred, but when I looked upward to hold back the tears, Hazuki-san entered the room and her eyes widened upon seeing me.
あら、西條さん、目が覚めたんですね。
A gentle smile accompanied her as she said that. My confusion rushing back, I froze.
お体の調子はどうですか?
Oh, that's painful right there. That's the positive delusion? Damn. Hazuki-san held out a thermometer to me so naturally, I couldn't help but take it.
体温を測ってくださいね。
As I took the thermometer from her, I gulped. It's the same. The exact same thing from before was repeating. It was as if Hazuki-san had just walked into the hospital room for the first time. I nervously reached for the thermometer in my underarm. I was sure I had put a thermometer in there just a moment ago, and yet, there was nothing there. The thermometer had disappeared. Had it been just a delusion? When did the delusions end and reality start? Was me being hunted by Shogun and becoming Japan's favorite punchline reality? My mood instantly took a turn for the worse. Damn, that is fucking painful right there. What the hell? Oh wait, we didn't get the positive delusion here? Okay, this is us coming back to school since all of that, so I could have sworn we did the positive. For example, wrapping my arms around one of the girls in my class and whispering dirty things ripped straight from an eroge in their ear. If I could actually do that, I'd go straight to class in the morning to get in some public humiliation roleplay. While only half paying attention, I looked around the classroom. Who would be a good target? A cute girl that wouldn't put up much of a fight sounded ideal. Man, I swear, Takumi is like, he's such a shitty character. The Dokyun bitches were already out of the question. Even though they were all mere high school students, they all wore way too much makeup, rendering them not even remotely attractive. Oh, I know, maybe the transfer student would be a good choice. From a glance, she looked to be quite docile, and her entire body gave off the aura of a lolly who was typically the #1 target of bullying. Additionally, she also had the clumsy girl attribute, which was super moe. Really, she was already virtually a 2D character. Yeah, perhaps she really would be a good choice. Delusion time, which I'm pretty sure she actually, like, reads onto. I stood up in a relaxed manner. The aura surrounding me had changed. Even the people who had been ridiculing, and provoking me were startled by my sudden movement. Huh, in the end, you guys are all talk. But I'm different. I'm built different. I'm the type of man who acts, and now it's time to prove it to you. Without saying a single word, I made my way over to the transfer student's desk. She was sitting hunched over in her seat face down. Noticing me approach, she looked up at me quizzically. For some reason, she already looked like she was about to cry. I then quickly grabbed both of her slender arms. I then began to pull her toward me. She tried to resist me with her feeble strength. She alternated between looking at me and looking at her surroundings, her confusion written all over her face. It was clear she had no idea what to do. God damn it. I brought her in close and wrapped my arms around her quite forcefully. What the hell, dude? No, come on, game. What is this? Her body really was incredibly fragile, to the point where I thought I might break her if I was too rough with her. She trembled like a chihuahua in my arms. But man, did she smell good. I nuzzled against her head, the top of which barely reached the bottom of my chin. I buried my nose in her soft hair and sniffed it. Yeah, Takumi is like, out of all the main characters that I've come across in the Science Adventure series, he is the absolute worst. The transfer student was so terrified that she couldn't speak. Then again, I hadn't seen her talk even once before this anyway. She was struggling and wriggling around in order to try and escape from my grip. But the strength she put forth was pitiful. I didn't exercise normally at all, but even with zero muscle mass, I'd easily been able to subdue her. The Dokuns around me, likely taken aback by my strange behavior, were all frozen in place. As the transfer student shook her head back and forth, I ran my tongue along her earlobe. Her delicate body squirmed in my arms. Ah, what a delicious reaction. More, I couldn't get enough of it. I was getting more and more aroused. I decided not to think about the consequences, instead just choosing to follow through with my inner desires. First, the dirty talk. I was gonna make this timid transfer student say something indecent. Sexual desire was something else. What? What? Huh? The transfer student's face reddened. She shook her head even more desperately than before, tears welling up in her eyes. Her reluctance only served to feed my sadistic desire even more. God damn it. Huh? Well, let's forget about that last one. Yeah, please. As I slouched further and further into my seat, I tried to make the transfer student perform a number of humiliating acts in my head. I wasn't going to hold back anymore. If my life was going to end anyway, I might as well have a little bit of fun before it did. That was awful. That was so shit. I swear, like, that, I guess you can throw onto the list of really fucked delusions that Takumi has had, that has, like, some terrible undertone. Like, what we've seen before, where he was trying to assault Senna. Remember that? That was terrible. There's been quite a few really bad ones. Even one of the final delusions, that was like a delusion in a delusion or whatever the fuck. That was pretty bad too. Okay, so what's going on here with Kuzoe again? I see it was a delusion. Of course, that includes the bloody Dokuns from earlier too. It has to be a delusion. It's just like Serotan, my waifu who lives only in my head. Serotan is still my waifu. Nothing's changed on that front. Besides, I don't have any memory of some dumb blonde character named Kozupi. Then who's talking? No way. Could it actually be the timid transfer student standing in front of me? When I thought that, the transfer student gave a small nod. Huh. There's just no way. What just happened had to be a coincidence. Maybe I'm mistaken and it just looked like she nodded at me. There's no way any of this is true. I'm not a telepath, not even close. What the hell is an unyu? For some strange reason, the transfer student looks sad. Damn it, now even I'm getting somewhat depressed. If what you say is true, Kozupi, then prove you're the transfer student. What are your measurements? Oh, 100%. The last delusion really proved that one. So you can't answer then. That means you really are just a delusion. Well, then just give me your bust size. Just a general estimate is fine. The conversation unfolding in my brain was getting way too perverted. Maybe it was time to dial it back a bit.
73くらいです。
It is true that the new student... God damn it. It is true that the new student's chest is flat as a board, so that part's consistent at least. Incidentally, I'm partial to tiny breasts too. For some reason, the transfer student's face was a deep scarlet. Her already petite body got tinier and tinier as she made herself small. This is a coincidence. It was just a coincidence that the voice and her reaction were in sync. It's not proof of anything.
ちゃんと答えたの。
Well, yeah, but I have no way of knowing your actual bust size, and I'm sure you just asked someone to arrest me if I try to measure you myself. Okay, then how about your birthday?
それなら簡単なのら。11月13日だよ。
Oh, it's coming up. Huh. Well, there's no way for me to confirm that it's true either. If I could on a whim go up to some 3D girl I'd never spoken to before and ask her, hey, what's your birthday? I would have become a normie a long time ago. When I thought that, the transfer student that had been hanging her head suddenly started fishing around in her bag. She then pulled something out from inside it and thrusted it toward me with tears in her eyes. It was a student handbook, one that was practically brand new. Upon flipping open the cover, I saw a photo of the transfer student's face, the name Orihara Kazoe, as well as her date of birth. But out of the three, what had really caught my attention was the date of birth written there. It was November 13th.
嘘でしょ。
Oh, right, I should check the name. The transfer student's name, according to her student handbook, is Orihara Kazoe. Kazoe Kozopi. I think we've been through this song and dance before.
だから最初からそう言ってたのら。コズピーなの。
Could this somehow not be a delusion? It is not. Now, I know we've got more delusions coming up here involving good old Kozopi. Honestly, I will admit, despite her manner of speech, I'd say I'm kind of looking forward to her route. Like, a little bit. Maybe a step above Nanami's, maybe, if we had to rank Nanami's already. But, no, I think hers would be interesting. Senna's and Rimi's I'm definitely looking forward to. All right, we have actually got a positive delusion here. Where in that tiny body was she hiding that kind of strength? From the looks of it, that thing has to weigh at least 5 kilograms. Kozopi, having literally read the question in my head, turned to me and smiled bashfully.
コズピーは匠さんを守るためだけに作られたアンドロイドなのら。
はい。
Had she just said android? What kind of anime plotline was that? Ignoring my disbelief, Kozopi clenched her hand in an adorable fist.
匠さん、もう安心なの。匠さんを狙う悪いやつはコズピーがドッカーンってするのら。ちなみにコズピーはメイド機能もあるの。だからこれから匠さんと一緒に住んで身の回りのお世話もしたいのら。
I see. That would be convenient. I was willing to accept that Kozopi was an android on top of everything else. That is, if she fulfilled one non-negotiable condition.
エッチなことをできる機能はありますか？
Oh my god, dude. Why? For whatever reason, I said all of that very formally. Also, Jesus Christ. What did I just ask her? Okay, translator, whoever is in charge of the everything here with the script. Jesus is capitalized, but Christ is also a name. Like that's his name. Jesus Christ. Come on. I'm being picky on purpose. Do not worry. While I waffled on whether or not to apologize to her, Kozopi's cheeks turned bright red and her eyes shot downward.
エッチなこともできるの。夜のご奉仕頑張るの。
Ah, holy fuck. A maid with combat abilities and the ability to perform knightly services? What kind of eroge is this? She came enhanced with perhaps too many optional features. Japanese technology is the best in the world. I was at Anime Expo one time and, oh, hold on, we still have to read this. While I was having that idiotic delusion, Kozupi waltzed around the store like she owned the place, her footsteps light and bouncy. She didn't even attempt to try and hide her sword from the people around her, acting as if it were the most normal thing in the world. It had been the same with Senna. She'd also been lugging around a gigantic sword in the middle of Shibuya with no regard to the people around her. Kozupi was way too calm. Both her and Senna really were crazy. You goddamn right. I was going to mention, back at Anime Expo when I went back in 2018, I know a really popular clip came from that event. I think it was that event. I didn't actually get to see it, but it was like a VR, like you get to like have sex or something with this like blow up doll or whatever. I think the video was like of Deku from My Hero Academia doing it, but like it wasn't anything like crazy or anything like that. But it was funny, and I really wish I went and saw that, but I got split up from my friends, and that other half of friends went to that booth, and I went to everywhere else, so I don't know, a little unfortunate, but yeah, technology can really lead us to some wacky places. All right, what's going on here? According to the minimum attendance chart, I didn't have to go to school today, but despite that, I came to school anyway for one reason, and one reason only: to see Rimi. I had no doubt that the Dokuns in class would make fun of me just like they always did. It would definitely suck, but if it meant I could see Rimi, I could endure it. It was also possible that Shogun could show up again. He seemed to be playing with me just like it was some kind of game after all. Maybe he'd feel like sending me on another quest soon. Just the thought alone terrified me. I tried to grasp my D-sword, but even that was just to protect myself from him. Without that sword, how could I ever hope to escape his evil clutches? Maybe if Rimi was by my side like she said that she would be, but well, she'd been absent from school lately, which worried me. What if she had been taken hostage just like Nanami? Was there anyone out there who could help me? So what is new here? I entered the classroom with my head pointed straight at the floor. Before taking my seat, I took a quick look around. I looked toward Rimi's seat first. Empty. Was she taking today off too? Was it really that simple? Was she really just taking time off? I began to feel anxious. Next, I looked over at Kozupi's desk. She was in her seat, face down and huddled up.
Ohayo, Takumi-san.
Morning, Kozupi. I didn't make eye contact, but I greeted her with my inner voice. The female Dokuns were watching me smirking. I'm not saying that. that demonetized a video. That word alone demonetized a video. And YouTube, like, they stood their ground. It was no different than yesterday. They'd all already labeled me as that otaku freak who said he was psychic and made an ass of himself on TV, and that label wasn't going away anytime soon. The male Dokuns didn't seem to have arrived yet, but it was pretty common for them to skip first period, and that was fine by me. What's different here? Why are we not skipping? I took my seat. Suddenly, someone clapped me on the back.
Oh, Taku.
Yeah, I remember all of this. There's nothing new here. Why are we not skipping though? I don't see what is new here. I'm gonna skip a little bit and maybe something will pop up. Okay, so this is skipping. That was weird. But now we're in chapter 8, and I think it's the new chapter 8. So I don't know, maybe that was kind of just preparing us for a lot of rereading. I'm not really sure, but I think we're actually in Ayase's route now. And, what was it? What was being said between him and Misumi? I think it was the same thing as in the common route. Just that, like, you know, he's got to hold up his social cred. He couldn't have been seen around him, but then, like, you know, like, oh, yeah, I'm also talking to you because, like, you know, people will think, oh, I'm sticking up for, you know, the loser or whatever, and that was that. I'm pretty sure that's like the same thing that was said in the common route. Maybe. Something similar. Alright, so the 7th case, it happened again, another NewGen. How long was this damn thing gonna go on for? Was I next? Wait, okay, this is again, like, pretty much stuff that we've already read. Shoot, what's gonna pop up in this first link? Yeah, like, we've literally seen this article and everything, and then it's gonna switch over. Yep, here we go. We've got the board here. And then we've got this, like, we've seen this. And then he bobs his head around for whatever fucking reason. I think what happens here in Yua's route is that Yua shows up. She kind of just shows up right here, but the original plan is for us to go to the hospital and visit Ayase. That's the plan. Nope, Rimi is still not here. Huh. Alright, so Rimi is still not present. She should have been present by now, right? Because she literally goes with Takumi and Misumi to the hospital to visit Ayase, but she's still not here. Kishimoto Ayase was lying in a hospital bed, idly gazing out the window. No bars lined the outside of it, a fact which set it apart from those at Arkhart Medical, where Ayase had stayed in the past. All that stood past the window's frame was the landscape of Shinjuku, decorated by skyscrapers and illuminated by the sunset. Flocks of pigeons soared freely through the sky, flapping their wings to their heart's content. Every now and then she would gaze upon this sight with a pained expression. Her slightly tired eyes were empty and bleak. Her irises reflected nothing. Her lips, which could let flow a voice so beautiful it shook the youth of Shibuya, were now sealed tight. Not even so much as a hum escaped from them. Following her suicide attempt, an event which caused quite the turmoil, she had been admitted to the psychiatric ward of a large hospital in Yoyogi. Her injuries were already very nearly healed. According to the doctors, it had been nothing short of a miracle that she had been able to survive a fall from that height, let alone with barely even a scratch. However, she had indeed hit her head fairly hard, and as such, she had been rushed to the hospital, primarily so they could see how the situation would develop. It had already been over a week since then. However, despite her having been admitted for such a reason, all it seemed to entail was a few rudimentary tests taken every couple of days or so, and beyond that, she had been rather neglected. Her hospital room was private, with no other beds inside it. Ever since her stay had begun, her D-sword had been leaning against the window. It constantly emitted a blue light, yet nobody who visited her ever seemed to notice. Not that there had been many visitors to begin with. Phantasm fans would attempt to force their way into her room daily, but as they always caused a disturbance in the process, the hospital had an excuse to forbid them from visiting her. And since Ayase was somewhat detached from her family, there were almost no others who came to visit her. Her fellow band members had made an appearance once, but Ayase used that opportunity to announce her decision for the band to break up. They had not contacted her again since. Kind of remember some of this. Is this when Sue was gonna... Nope, this is the nurse. A nurse wearing white scrubs opened the door to the room and then swiftly entered. Ayase slowly turned to look at the nurse's face, then took out the thermometer that had been resting under her arm. It was as if she had only just remembered its presence. The nurse took a look at the recorded temperature shown on its digital screen, then took note of it on the clipboard that she had brought with her.
37度1分と、ちょっと熱っぽいかしら。ズキズキするわ。頭。
Ayase grimaced in pain once again.
あら、また頭痛？でもそれは薬の副作用よ。気にしなくてもそのうち良くなりますよ。
I think what's actually happening here is that the nurse, at least, is giving her medicine that's making her feel nauseous or just simply unwell. And it's because they know that she's a gigalomaniac. They don't need her, you know, out and about. This is the best way that they can basically keep her in their grasp, you know, without violence and such. Having recorded her temperature, the nurse consoled Ayase with a kind smile. Her expression was so gentle, it was clear to all how she was able to put her patients at ease. But she's also quite literally insane. And yet, despite the nurse's attempts, Ayase simply pushed her hand against her forehead as she shook it back and forth. Ayase had been plagued by mild headaches ever since she had first been hospitalized. They were not especially painful, but they still left her with an uncomfortable feeling that refused to go away, one that felt as if her brain itself was convulsing. It even reached the point where her ability to think was impaired. As well as this, her body would feel as heavy as lead. Ayase had experienced such symptoms in the past, namely when she had been institutionalized at Arkhart Medical. Back then, her head had constantly been split apart by painful headaches, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It deprived her of all sleep and emotional stability. Those were the memories that she did not want to resurface, the past that she had sealed away, the events of around 2 years ago. And yet her headache was causing them to flash back into her mind once more. Yeah, that's right, it was the drip, drop, drip, drop. I remember that. Yeah, so I think we can kind of skip this little portion. I'm reading a little bit of this because, like, I don't remember too much, and it's a good little refresher, but yeah, she was just sitting in this room, losing her goddamn mind as the water was just dripping down on her forehead. Yeah, torture. Man, who in this game is not, like, you know, struggling from some sort of, like, mental problem, you know? I think everybody has some sort of mental problem here. Whether it was, like, inflicted upon them, or, like, it's just a problem that they've always had, or it's a problem that they kind of created for themselves. Well, I don't know. I just don't know. But no, I think we've seen all that. We've seen all of this. Nothing is too new here. Returning to her senses, she breathed erratically as she tightly gripped the sheets lining the bed. Her body trembled as those dark memories of hers resurfaced in her mind. The nurse that had been in her room just a moment ago was already gone. Dinner time had just arrived at the hospital, and the clamorous sounds that came from it resounded from down the hall. Ayase tried to recall the words the nurse had spoken to her right before leaving. Was her headache really just a side effect of the drugs that she was on? Or had it been caused by her hitting her head perhaps? Or perhaps it was just a hallucination brought forth by her past memories. She was unable to come to a decisive conclusion. Wiping away the sweat that had ran down her forehead, Ayase called forth a smile laced with self-loathing.
構わないわ。今さら何をされたって。あれはあの神罰を耐え抜いたんだから。もう迷わない。私は。
Murmuring in perhaps delirium, Ayase soon became aware of a sound reverberating throughout the hall. The comforting sound of shoes stepping on the floor. It was certainly not being made by a nurse, and the sound of footsteps was heading right for the room she was in. Someone knocked on her door, and she sealed her lips tight. Oh, there's Suwa. That someone was but a single man. He came bringing gifts, namely a large basket filled with a manner of fruits. She could recognize the man, which was far from a good sign, thus she stared at him with a dubious glare.
どうも。あ、別に怪しいもんじゃないっすよ。自分は。
知ってるわ。
Okay, this we've also seen a little bit of, but I have a feeling that Suwa is going to be saying something as well. Like, what if what he's going to do here is very similar to what he did to Yua, where he was basically going to push her over the edge, and that would just kind of like steer us off into a completely different route. It's possible that Suwa is always going to be somehow related to everything, kind of like he always has been. Let me skip a little bit here and see if anything comes up. Okay, as far as I can tell, nothing new popped up there. Like, it was quite literally everything that we have read before. Maybe it's just to remind us about what they talked about, which was him questioning her about, like, you know, why she did it, why jump off, and like, oh yeah, your song lyrics, haha, are you a wizard? And it's basically all the same shit. But this is going to be where things are different, because Rimi is not here. It's just Takumi and Misumi they're going to go and visit with Ayase here. And while the two of them alone visited Ayase, and Rimi just had a small talk with her elsewhere, it's still going to be different. We're definitely at a turning point. So we will save all that for next time. All the new content can pop up next time. A contract of blood to seal our sin. These chapter names are too goddamn long. Alrighty, thank you all for watching this episode. I have no idea how long it's even going to be because a lot of it was just sitting here and skipping shit. But we are definitely in it to win it here. If you enjoyed this episode for whatever it was, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.